Hi guys. How you doing? Your allies with the lightning bugs? Now I want to hear that story that lightning bugs and crickets are allies. I can kind of see that. That makes total sense. That's really lovely. Hey Kat, how you doing? It's really good to see you. It's been a while since I've seen you. Susan, I love the books. I love the books. That is a great emoji. I am really excited. See that? Is it going to show now? Let me see. Can you guys hear me? Oh, yeah, they show there. We do music and they do lighting. I love it. The study books show, you guys. Usually they don't show. Usually what I get, they look like this. Study time, study time. They don't usually look like that. That's so cool. That's so cool. Ah, yes, indeed, Kat. With your AC/DC, you relate to the lightning bolt. How is everybody? Did everybody have a great second to last weekend of the summer? Third to last. Third to last weekend of the summer. Did everybody have a good one? I had, as always, a nice quiet weekend. It was, oh, excellent, Kat. That's nice traveling with your girlfriend. I haven't done that for a while. I need to make that happen. I need to make that happen soon. Weekend. I was talking about the weekend. I we got we got a table delivered over to my son, um, who absconded with a table my mother sent me for an end table. It's a table from my childhood she sent me. And he just grabbed it off the truck, and I didn't realize it was at his house. So I took that table back, and we had to get another table for him. So I had a table in the house that I thought might be something that would work for him, and so we delivered it over to him today, and it does just just the trick. Just the trick for what he needed. So um I have got the Kindle open. I'm trying to figure out how to work it so I can see marks, my markup. And it's there they are. There they are. Well, no, that's not where they are. I'm gonna have to look at them here. Well, that's annoying. That's annoying. Sorry, guys. Technical issues. Technical issues. Hi, everybody. I know I'm not paying much attention, but y'all are being quiet. Y'all are being awfully quiet. I don't know, let's start with chapter 16, you guys. I guess let's just grab right into it. I was 2 paragraphs into the chapter, right, Cricket? They've all been horrendous. They have all been horrendous. I think the worst part was the 9-year-old. At least that was the worst part for me. The worst part was the 9-year-old who had come, the EPF at 16. Yeah. The 9-year-old who put all the dishes in the oven. I thought that one was exceptional. That one really got me. I find it interesting in this second. Right, Kat. He's fucking 9 years old. Exactly. So in that second paragraph, the second in the middle, she says, rationally, I still found myself worrying for my mom and hoping that she was being taken care of. I couldn't force myself to detach completely like a good Scientologist would. And the 9-year-old practical feral child, yeah, yeah, Cricket. The 9-year-old. The 9-year-old is what got me. Sure, Thrasher. Welcome in. Have you been here before? So I just found it rationally. She wasn't rationally hoping that she was emotional. It just seems like just such an interesting word choice. And then the bright spot took a hit for you, Thrasher. The bright spot. A bright spot that helped me get through this and refocus my energy on the Sea Org. Relying on the weekly graduation ceremonies at Flag to inspire me and keep my spirits high. You know, guys, the whole time I was thinking about this, the whole time I was reading these chapters, I was thinking, is this what North Korea is like? Is this what North Korea is like? Is this how they keep hope alive in North Korea? These weird, weird bright spots. Hi, Amy. How are you? It's really good to see you. Were you at the market today? I hope it was successful if you were there. So she begins relying on the weekly graduation ceremonies at Flag to inspire me and keep her spirits up. drawn in by the winds that graduates would speak of every week. Wins were the big reveals, the prizes at the end that kept people coming back for more. And I was no different. And then she says, and I've got a big note there. Good, Amy. Yesterday was good. Good. It was almost like I needed something to throw myself into at this vulnerable time, to get my mind off of things and focus on something positive. And my big, huge note for this one is, are you kidding me? No fucking shit. Oops, guys. I'm gonna try and monetize these nowadays. No poo-poo. You needed something to throw yourself into at this vulnerable time to get my mind off of things and focus on something positive. Abso-positively, the testimony of Juliette Lewis. Exactly, Cricket. Exactly. Orion! Orion! Come here. Come here. Hey, come here. Come here. Sorry, y'all. The TR bull bait. Oh, yeah, we're going to get there, cat. We're going to get there. Come on, puppy. Come here. It was hard to listen to these stirring emotional stories of transformation and not feel that Scientology had the power to change lives and change the world. And then she makes a new friend, Louisa. And it sounds like she and Louisa had a lot of fun. But then she finds out that the other kids might have even been treated worse than her. Hey, Ryan, you gonna say hi to everybody? No. Say hi to everybody. Yeah. I focused on getting through them as best I could. The way out was the way through. Pretty insane, huh? And the sitting still for 2 hours? What is the point of that? What is the point? No, 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 no. Yes, no, no, no. Okay. Had to be able to sit comfortably in a chair in front of another student for 2 straight hours without speaking, moving, twitching, coughing, or blinking excessively. That poor girl with the creepy supervisors. Exactly, Kat. And what's really interesting about it, Orion, can you stop already? Is that Jenna was disgusted by the whole thing. So it's really interesting that she was disgusted by the whole thing, but also had the presence of mind, training, experience, um, all of those things to not say anything about thinking that it was creepy, right? It's just it's just odd. And tone 40 delivery was so powerful and precise that the person getting the command would follow the order no matter what. Like, and then 2 paragraphs later, as auditors, we would have to use any means necessary to prevent the pre-clears from leaving a session before it was over. Okay, wait a second. 2 sentences, less than a paragraph apart. A tone 40 delivery was so powerful and precise that the person getting the command would follow the order no matter what. And 2 paragraphs later, it says, as auditors, we would have to use any means necessary to prevent the pre-clears from leaving a session before it was over. So I don't understand why you have to physically stop anyone. If you have a tone 40 delivery, you don't have to be a tone 40 delivery is so powerful and precise that the person getting the command would follow the order no matter what. So why would you ever have to get physical with anyone? Getting physical with anyone is just an absolute admission that you don't have tone 40. Because at tone 40, got cat hairs on my nose again. Lori, how are you? At tone 40, the delivery is so powerful and precise that the person getting the command would follow the order no matter what. Aaron says you can't look at it too closely because it's all bullshit. There you go, Kat. There you go. Right there. Right there. I think you just said it. That one just coming 2 paragraphs, one right after the other. I mean, if I wanted him to look at the wall, I had to pry his eyes open and twist his head, except that a tone 40 delivery was so powerful and precise, the person getting the command would follow the order no matter what. So I'm unclear why you would have to pry open their eyes and twist their head, unless you were doing the tone 40 delivery wrong. You pass. See, here's another interesting thing. Are people just really uncreative about not complying? I mean, how does anybody get their twin finally to comply? How does that happen? Have they not had anybody who never complies? Why does somebody on them? I don't. Apparently, everybody complies eventually because you pass when you can get your twin to comply with the commands. Is this another case, Kat, of don't look at it too closely? Because this one confused me. This one confused me more than the ashtray. Sorry, guys, it looks like there's a big old light reflecting right off my forehead. And that's because there's a big old light shining right at me. Okay, Kat. It just, that one stopped me in my tracks. That one stopped me in my tracks. So then they go on to screaming at ashtrays. And then they go from screaming at ashtrays to screaming at particular parts of the ashtray. Are you an ashtray? Are you a corner? Are you made of glass? The ashtray was required to be a square. Another question, what about all the circular ashtrays in the world? Uh, oh my goodness. How often must people have tried to leave for them to have the physical part written into the process? Right, Cricket? But like the tone 40 is clearly failing, or people don't have the proper tone 40. You would think they were in a loony bin. The same principles that we were trying to learn and understand as auditors were the principles that prevented us from questioning the ridiculous task. We'd been trained to follow instructions just as we were now learning how to make others follow ours. And the description of the room, Kat, the description of the room. We'd stand there for hours next to our twin, packed into a room full of other twins, each pair doing a different part of the course. Some would be barking orders to go to the wall, while others sat silently as they stared deeply into each other's eyes. In another part of the room, someone would be yelling insults as a part of a bull bait session, at the same time that someone a few feet away was screaming instructions to an ashtray. Control, control, and more control for sure. For sure. So Jenna makes some interesting comments here, and one of the things I'd love to know from her um, is she says all these courses were supposed to be about training auditors to be smooth with their communication and less distracting to us pre-clears in session. But the result was that it made all of us more robotic. And I think it's really interesting. Yeah, she said you couldn't tell if you were making progress, right. I'm curious if she thought it made them more robotic at the time, or if she thought it made them more robotic after the fact. Because she goes on in the next few lines to say the exercises themselves encouraged us to see the people we were auditing not as people with feelings, but as reactive minds that needed to be bent to the will of the auditing session for their own good. The dialogue was designed to dehumanize. The fact that we spent time practicing on an ashtray only emphasized that. Tone 40 commands in particular were about getting people to follow orders without questioning. I always wonder why he uses the word twins to describe that pairing. It seems deliberate. Why twin? A little carbon copy. Interesting, Cricket. Interesting. Twin. Yeah, why would he use the word twin? There's so many connotations there. Duplicate. Um, okay, Lori. So many more. Yeah, and then, like you said, Kat, much of it seemed subject to the whims of the course supervisor, but no one thought much of it as long as we moved up the TR levels, right? And then she has more friends, Olivia and Julia. Although, I don't know if you guys caught this. She says, I was glad they were in CMO and in my department because I could fraternize with them without getting in trouble. They were both really nice and very pretty. Apparently, my uncle had been impressed with their abilities and had promoted them both. It is. It's an interesting. I'm still thinking on that, Cricket, and I'm gonna be chewing on that one and all the Jungian expressions and all the different representations of twin for the next week. I'm pretty sure of it, Cricket. Chica, hola, ¿cómo está? So many times I was shaking my head because I didn't like where I was going. Kind of like that. Ah. You can just be quiet and stay right here. Apparently, my uncle had been impressed with their abilities and had promoted them both. I just, I let that one pass. I just let that one pass. And then the little, right, Cricket? Since she mentioned how pretty they were. Exactly, Kat. You thought the same thing? I was like, he was impressed with their ability? Hmm. Okay, I'll believe that. And then that whole paragraph about the mail. Just in passing, slipped in CMO, they had passed around a slip that we were required to sign, allowing our mail to be opened and inspected. No, he wasn't what, Kat? What did I say? I totally forgot. Oh, he wasn't impressed with their abilities? No, he was impressed with their looks. He was impressed with their looks. And then she writes a letter to Aunt Shelley about the RPF. Yeah, impressed with their abilities. I got it, Kat. She sends a letter to Shelley about the EPF and gets in trouble. And gets in trouble. I don't. Our confessional stretched out over several weeks. I were asked everything from had I stolen anything to had I done anything unethical on the second dynamic to had I done anything I didn't want my parents to find out about. Chica, I wondered about that. I really did wonder about that. I I hate to think that somebody would be that cruel. However, but I really hate to think somebody would be that cruel, and nonetheless, I I don't know why it duplicated, I saw it. You've about had it with Shelley, you're kinda glad she's not speaking to us anymore? She seems to be a bit of a gadfly, that one, and all over the place. 'Cause it was an important point. There you go, Kat. There you go. It's interesting, right? She didn't even know that she was in trouble. Instead, I heard him say, "I am not auditing you." My stomach dropped. This indicated that I was not receiving auditing, but rather a security check. In other words, a confessional. Unlike auditing sessions, your confessions were not confidential and could be used against you for disciplinary actions. Interesting. I didn't realize she's gotta be they've gotta be using auditing. Yeah, she was trying to do the right thing, Chica. I can't think about that too much because 'cause I'm just gonna get confused about the difference between auditing and confessional. Stretched out over several weeks. Everything you do can be used against you. Yeah, Lori, that's kind of the sense I get. That's for damn sure. She does talk interestingly about the real impact being something the real impact being bigger than this, and that the real impact is that the repeated nature of the questions make you doubt yourself in ways that are hard to describe. You think the questions are more extreme when it's a interrogation rather than an audit? That could be, Chica. That would be a great thing to get a, um, ex-Scientologist perspective on, 'cause I I I thought they could all be used against you. When you have to admit things that never happened just to get through and then have it used against you, right? Can you imagine? To a Catholic, even a lapsed one, confession not being confidential is shocking. Right, Cricket? Right? Did they not try to find out who is your PTS or something? Yeah? They do that too, Chica. I've just always thought of auditing like confession. So to hear Jenna talk about an interrogation like a confession as a confessional that's specifically not confidential, that's what threw me a little bit there. That's what threw me a little bit where there. Every question was a conflict of interest. If you admitted to doing something wrong, you would be punished. But if you told the truth and the meter questioned your answer, you'd get asked the question over and over again until you gave the answer that you're looking for. So many times I'd end a session not having done any of the things I'd admitted to just because it was the only way to make it end. And then she had to address each transgression and prove that I was taking responsibility by correcting it or making the necessary amends. And then we have no idea how long. You think it's a true witch hunt. I think it's a true witch hunt. I think they're addicted to witch hunts. I think it's a constant witch hunt. It's an always forever witch hunt. It's gross. It's gross. It's an always forever witch hunt. I found it interesting that she didn't talk about how long um the interrogations and the addressing the transgressions took. I would have been curious to know how long that was. Um, yes, Kat, it does make my head hurt. The 8-year-old was really hard on me, and we're not even to him yet. They have to go hard on them, keep them scared and confused. Yeah. Yeah, Lori. For EPF, I was moved to a different dorm at the hacienda. None of the work bothered me because I was already accustomed to them from the ranch. And then they're assigned to clean the various restaurants and hotel rooms in Fort Harrison and the Hubbard Guidance Center. That's not a thumbs up. It's a definite thumbs down. Yeah. Where we where we were assigned to clean the various restaurants and hotel rooms in Fort Harrison and the Hubbard Guidance Center where public Scientologists receive their auditing. So I'm like, so the EPF is just a labor force. Chad was talking on and on with Poe. Yes, Chica, slave labor indeed. Exactly. You're there with me. Scooter Mom, did Poe and Chad have a good discussion? They did go a little late. That description was like when people under police interrogation sometimes confess to crimes they didn't commit. Exactly, Cricket. 15 minutes for breakfast. And then you have to clean it all. And then you have to clean it all. It's it's just excessive. It was good. I'm glad, Scooter Mom. I'll have to go back and watch the rest of it on replay. So where'd that person go who came around here early in the stream and wanted me just to take a hit for them? People wanting me coming in the stream and wanting me to take a hit, and they don't even hang out. Okay, now we've gotten to the 9-year-old. Hello, Sunrise Dawn. It is nice to see you. Welcome in anyone who's coming over from Poe. Hey, Big Chief, how are you? It's nice to see you. We are almost all the way through. I say almost. We're maybe half the way through the first chapter. Let's see how fast we can go here. We are at the 9-year-old. We get an interesting piece of data here. Hi, Fraud, how are you? It is nice to see you. And there was always at least one person recruited each week, it says. There was at least one person recruited each week, and I bet you they counted that 9-year-old boy. 9-year-old boy. Are there trolls, Fraud? Thaddeus, that is nice of you. I appreciate it. I will have to go back and listen to the rest of Poe. Oh, Fraud. I am sorry about that. Even though I was 13, I had to fill out a life history. Yes, we can share a link to Cricket. Susan or Sunrise, can one of you guys share a link to Cricket? Hey, Janelle. You trying to sneak in under the wire? I see you in here. Yeah, Sunrise. No, not Chow Yun Smut Cricket. Cricket Cinema Cricket. Cricket Cinema Cricket. I think that's who you're looking for. Lori, are you looking for Cricket Cinema or for Chow Yun Smut? Okay, Kat, take care, sweetie. Thanks for coming by. It's always good to see you, my dear. I hope your friend and you have a great time. Enjoy yourself in Vancouver and don't be a stranger, okay? Take care. Yes, Cricket Cinema. Okay, you got it, right, Lori? Susan dropped it just a little bit earlier. Have you got a tail, Janelle? Okay, good, Lori. Good, good, good. We'll see if the trolls show up in here. So she had to fill out a life history. And she says, I knew I had to do it, but it was hard to understand why the church needed this information. The theory of confessionals made sense to me. Not yet, not any yet, no face. But we could all use a drink. The theory of confessionals made sense to me, she says. But this was not a standard confessional procedure, and what did my relatives' names have to do with my eligibility? I was too young to have a credit card, but why would they need that info? Even though I had nothing to hide, I felt the church was asking me for information just for the sake of having it, almost asking for material they might blackmail me with that served no Scientologic purpose. I felt like I was handing over a piece of myself. Oh, Janelle, I am sorry. I won't fret, but I am sorry. Um, I did it anyway, of course, rationalizing that if I had nothing to hide, I shouldn't have a problem with it. Oh, okay, Sunrise Dawn. Anne, how are you? I am not high. I am not extremely high, but that's very funny. I am not extremely high at the moment. I did it anyway, of course, rationalizing that if I had nothing to hide, I shouldn't have a problem with it. She's 13. She's 13. I mean, like, I know that's what we've said for every one of these chapters. She's 9. She's 10. She's 12. And then all the cleaning. I and then and then oh, thank you, Anne. Yes, the contrast is hilarious. The contrast is hilarious. Pineapple coconut rum on the rocks for the ladies. Evan Williams shots off the second shelf for the gents. What if I want Evan Williams and then a pineapple coconut rum? COS is a bunch of blackmailers. How could they keep everybody locked in? Janelle, you should have seen me a little while ago. We were going over 2 sentences that happened within 2 paragraphs of each other that are completely. They're crazy. They're crazy. Bourbon, please stop calling you a lady. Yeah, bourbon would be nice. Chica, you stick to rum straight all the nights. All the nights. So get this. They're totally a fucking workforce. To complete our CMO EPF, which happens, they're doing 2 EPFs. She's got to do the Sea Org EPF, and then she's got to and do cleanings on the Sea Org EPF, and then she has to go do the CMO EPF and do cleanings on the CMO EPF. And to complete the CMO EPF, the whole point of this EPF is to train them. To complete it, we have to pass our cleaning and laundry skills. The execs received vote sheets and graded each of us for our services in housekeeping and laundry. Fuzzy, it is. That's the wrong one. It hadn't occurred to me to call it a DC8. I forgot I've got it. But it is. It could be a little DC8. There you go. There it is. And in the other ear, Ooh, Cosmo with extra fresh lime. Brown and ginger. Nice. You keeping up okay? The next one is Parachute Man. Nice, Cricket. Nice, Cricket. Those are the earrings, Fuzzy. Did I see you come in? Welcome in. Yeah, so thank you, Chica. Hey, Bridge, how are you? Welcome in. Thank you, Anne. These are one of my favorite pairs. These are one of my favorite pairs. I've had these for going on 30 years. They are definitely one of my favorite pairs. I made them a pair. They were being sold as two parachute men or two airplanes. And I told him I wanted a parachute man and an airplane because that seems might make much more sense. Hey, Finn, how are you? Wendy is lovely. Crown and Coke, nice. Drop that popsicle in the volcano. There you go. Thanks, Janelle. Thank you, guys. So they had to get, you remember selling that line at a store you worked at? They had a line of mismatched and ironic earrings. Very cool. And I got these at the Portland Saturday market. I got them at the Portland Saturday market 30 years ago when we lived in Seattle, before we even moved to Portland. Boy, you guys, I sure feel close up when I lean in. Gotta keep remembering myself to sit back. I don't like this color lipstick either. I think it has to go. They're housekeepers. They're glorified housekeepers. The execs received vote sheets and graded each of us for our services in housekeeping and laundry. Like, y'all. Just, and then we've got Charlie, the 9-year-old. I don't know, Anne. I don't know. These are different than those. I know which ones you mean. These are slightly different from those. Thank you, Sunrise Dawn. Indeed, Chica, the injustices keep piling up. And then there's the 9-year-old on the CMO, EPF. So this 9-year-old's already gotten through one EPF. And now he's on the second EPF. And they all get into trouble because instead of doing the dishes, he had all shoved them in the oven. Janelle, I give the child labor 4 stars. Exactly. Sorry, guys, I need to like close my mouth. Only in retrospect can I see Charlie for what he was, a neglected young boy. He was often lost in whatever he was doing. His hair was always unbrushed. He never washed his clothes and probably didn't even know how, so he had giant stains all over his uniform. Once, when he was ordered to go clean his shirt by an executive, we found him 5 minutes later in the bathroom trying to clean his shirt in the toilet. This poor kid. I just want to know where Charlie ended up. What parent would do that to a baby? Of course he shoved them in the oven. Exactly, Chica. Exactly. Right, Susan? And then we get into the family shit. So a couple of months and she's finished both her EPFs and back to studying and working with Olivia and Julie and getting to get comfortable back in the CMO, and problems arise again. Then she finds out Justin's on the RPF. And she starts tearing up. And I don't know who Mr. Wilson is. He just shows up out of nowhere. No, this is after Mom's affair, Chica. This is after Mom's affair. Mom is away still on the RPF, and she's in Florida, and she gets told that Justin is on the base, and she's like, that can't be. Her female boss is Mr. Wilson. Oh, got it, Chica. It says later on, Janelle. Sterling is somewhere else and doing relatively well, I believe. Does anybody know what year, how many years it's been since she sees him? Because she references here, I couldn't believe that Justin was on the RPF. I hadn't seen him since I left California for Flag in 96 and had no idea that he had even been in trouble. Why hadn't anyone told me? Later that afternoon, Mr. Wilson came into my office and closed the door. As he had been told, I was asking questions about Justin. My eyes started tearing up. Why are you crying? This is the Sea Org, and that's just the way things are. I haven't seen my own sister in years. She was an RTC trainee. Now I have no idea where she is. It is nothing to cry about. I haven't even seen my wife in a year, and I have no idea what is going on with her. No, Janelle, no sorry. Yeah, and I I wasn't, if there was annoyance in my voice, it wasn't at you. It was at Scientology. I get totally confused about that one too, Chica. Once I knew that Justin was at Flag, I mean, look at this girl. On occasion, I was able to give him a hug and talk to him. He would sometimes send me a list of anything he needed, like shampoo, and I would do my best to get it for him. He was only being paid $15 a week, which made it hard for him to afford the Aveda shampoo he liked. So I'd use some of my $25 weekly pay to cover the difference. Oh my goodness. Is she not the sweetest? And then, so she can be closer to Justin, she decides she's going to do the Purif with him because they all have to do the Purif. So she angles to get onto the Purif. Then she explains the Purif. And we've all heard about the Purif. But then we had to drink a quarter cup of vegetable oil, as this helped to put in the good fat, which then pushed out the bad fat. Let me just say that one more time. Then we had to drink a quarter cup of vegetable oil, as this helped to put in the good fat, which then pushed out the bad fat. Janelle, it is pretty thorough brainwashing. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, dude was such an ass. Better his wife didn't have to see him for a year. Yeah. I just cricket. Drink vegetable oil, case of diarrhea is coming next. A quarter cup of vegetable oil. So when I was pregnant with my first son, he was 2 weeks late. 2 weeks late. No, Anne, you're fine. Um, and one of the natural ways to make labor happen, because I was 2 weeks late, is to drink castor oil. Y'all, it was more than a spoonful of castor oil, and I know why kids used to complain about having to take their castor oil, because that shit, and it's not that it has a nasty flavor, it's that swallowing oil is like gross. It's gross. Okay, one last time, because I didn't drink a quarter cup of it, if I recall. You had to drink castor oil for an exam once. You could not stand the smell of popcorn for years. Yes, Chica. Castor, it's the oil. It's the oil. Helped put in the good fat, which then pushed out the bad fat. Don't look too close, because none of it makes sense. This helped put in the good fat, which then pushed out the bad fat. Where's the explosion one? Is this the explosion one? No, that's going to be lights. What's the explosion one? No, that's going to be fireworks. Yeah. How about this one? Is confetti. How about this one? That's just going to be, oh, there it is. There's the fireworks. Um, I Subject change, no face? Yes, Chica. All the pseudo health bullshit is from LRH. Yes, but I made it work. How did I make? Oh, I did this. There we go. Those were fireworks. Those were fireworks. I'm having fun. I'm having fun. No face. We have, I went and found some other questions, but I could, I've got about that many. About that many. I don't know if it's enough or not. We shall see. You guys are going to have to start sending me new questions. New questions. So she's all excited to go on the Purif, and here's an interesting point that I had never occurred to me before. The Purif could be a pain, but you were required to take at least 5 hours in the sauna where you could chat with others, read your favorite book, and even play board games, which was much more fun and exciting than being on course. And also, she could see her brother, which was not. Yeah. So she figures out a way to get on the Purif, and then finds out that Justin has to take the Purif at night. It was an interesting point here that I had. She's talking about Lisa Marie. Every celebrity had a code name used on their pre-clear folders to protect their privacy. Lisa Marie was referred to as Norma or Norma Darling. Well, if we know what the name is on their folder, I'm not sure how it protects their privacy. I know, I'm once again just trying to punch holes in Scientology. I assumed the celebrities had made up names so that people wouldn't snoop, or in case their folders ended up being in the wrong hands. I assumed. Most dangerous words in the English language, I assumed. Sauna Monopoly sounds like the worst one available. There you go. She'd abuse herself to have time with Justin. Yes, Chica. Yes, consuming good fats can help lower bad fat cholesterol a bit, but what they are doing is also damaging. You still have to skip the bad fats for it to work, and vegetable oil is not it. Yes, Anne. Yeah, abuse herself to have time with Justin. And then she gets approached by Anne Rathbun to get her to help talk Justin out of leaving. Justin simply refused to talk to me about the Sea Org. He knew as well as I did that we were being filmed. I could tell he was really troubled because he was the type of person who always puts on a comedic face, and now he didn't. And then they tell her that he's a list one rock slammer. Have you guys heard? I think I've heard about this before. One of my friends had been assigned to the RPF on the grounds of a List 1 rock slam alone. When I told Mr. Rodriguez that I didn't believe he was a rock slammer, she told me it had been verified by the video of the session. The manipulation is unbelievable, Chica. While I was disappointed that I couldn't help Justin more and help the church more, there was also a small part of me that was starting to see that maybe all of this was happening for a reason. I never would have admitted it to anyone, but little by little I began to see that maybe the only way for Justin to be truly happy was for him to leave as he had apparently wanted to for a long time. Until then, I hadn't really thought about his leaving in terms of what would be best for him. I'd only thought about what was best for the church. But as I listened to his reasons and arguments, it seemed to make sense why he would be considering departure. Yeah, I think so too, Chica. That's what it is, the rock slam. That's what it says it is. And then, you guys. Oh, we passed by the first Minnesota goodbye, you guys. First Minnesota goodbye. Then she's hardly dealt with her brother, and Marty Rathbun comes in and gets her to talk to her mother to convince her mother to stay. So is this like letting Jenna talk to her mom because that's what her mom needs, and so that's the blackmail? That's the thing that they can offer to Jenna's mom to get Jenna's mom to stay? Rock slam is what they use to eject Kelly Copter. Right, Janelle. Your mom is going to be declared a suppressive person. She wants to leave the Sea Org. She has taken off several times without permission. She's still not following orders. And she started accusing the church of ridiculous things. I've done everything I can do, and so at this point, we are probably just going to let her leave. However, before she leaves, I want you to visit her so that she can't make a legal claim against the church and say she was forbidden from seeing her daughter. Before she leaves, I want you to visit her so she can't make a legal claim against the church and say she was forbidden from seeing her daughter. Yeah, it's total blackmail, Anne. Right? But here she is, Mr. Rathbun. I'm pretty sure if I can see her, I can get her to stay. That's what she says. It wasn't a job that I wanted, but it knew it was a duty I had to try to perform. And then she started thinking that maybe it was part of her fault. Maybe it was her fault that her mom wanted to leave. And then he's like acting it, considering it. And then all of a sudden, that night, they fly to LA. I was only 14, but I had to negotiate with my brother to try to make him stay, respond to my dad's letters, which felt a bit needy and obsessive at times in my mom's absence, and now travel to California to convince my mother to stay in the church. There's just so much, you guys. I just get she's brave. Honestly, Mr. Rathbun, I'd rather go in there myself. So she has a great meeting with her mom. Mom says, "I'd like for us to be in touch. That would help with the tough parts." They both agree that Justin might be happier outside the church. And then Mr. Rathbun is stunned that Jenna has such great success. I find it interesting that Jenna even now thinks that he's astonished. I mean, I don't know, it seems like a setup, although he sends her to talk to her dad too, which is all fucked up. I mean, not that it's not fucked up to send her to talk to her mom or her brother. Like, what the actual fuck, y'all? What the actual fuck? It's a West. It's yeah, take me with you, right? I just we are halfway, y'all. Little more than halfway. We're halfway. Hey, Danny. How are you? How are things going? We just finished talking about Jenna's book, and so now we're gonna sit and chit chat about whatever. Danny, were you sick? I just, I'm just overwhelmed with you're still in pain? I am so sorry, Danny. I am so sorry. That's not fun at all. I hope you've got some painkillers or something. Oh no, Danny, did the ER help? That's terrible. I just continue to be shocked. Even with my familiarity of what this was like, the book continues to shock me. Food poisoning. Yes, one's in the chat for Danny, y'all. One's in the chat for Danny. I am really sorry, honey. That sounds totally unfun. Totally unfun. See you later, Scooter Mom. Take care. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Take you a few days to get over food poisoning? Yeah. They gave you morphine, and because it didn't work, they gave me 2 doses of something way stronger. Well, good, Danny. I hope you're not feeling any pain anymore. I hope you're not feeling any pain anymore. That's really important. Really important. As we read a book about a religion that is designed to bring pain to its adherents. It's a little much. You still feel it? Oh no. Oh no, Danny. You still feel it, but they sent you home? I'm sorry you're feeling it. No, food poisoning is not fun at all. So what? No, hush, hush, hush. Yes, sending love, Annie, and don't hesitate to go back. What Anne said, absolutely. Anne's a nurse, and I'm a mom, and Janelle's an auntie, if not a mom. And we all say, don't hesitate to go back if it still hurts. It's really important to go back if it still hurts. We have a neighbor who is similar to a shaman. She does a weird thing with a towel and prayers. Oh, thank you, Chica. I'll take any help from any source when the pain is significant. Food poisoning is not something to have. So, guys, I don't know about you guys. Well, I know some of y'all get excited about study night. And so I wanted to tell all y'all, if I haven't already, yes, morphine does slow your digestive tract to a crawl. Indeed, it does. I've got all these interesting papers. And I guess I'm just really excited about them. So I thought I'd read you the titles, and maybe you guys are more or less excited about one of them. But you got to do more than here. I'll number them as I go through them. Because you'll have to tell me the number if you think it's particularly interesting. Okay? So this first one is on the occult roots of Scientology. And Chica, you are so sweet. Sorry, guys. The printing on these is so tiny. Well, then, since we've got time, let's start on this little short one, you guys. I think this one's really interesting. It's dated 2021, and it's only 6 pages. And it's called Studying Scientology as an Anti-Democratic Institution: Suggestions and Cautions to Future Researchers. And it is out of the journal Implicit Religion. Published in 2021. And it's published by a journal in Alberta, Canada. Or it's published by a professor who is at the University of Alberta, Lori. And published in a British journal. So we'll see if we can knock this out in a half an hour. This might be, I know you're in Alberta. I know you're in Alberta, see? Stephen Kent, University of Alberta, Lori. Addressing future researchers who may undertake research on Scientology. This commentary offers a number of cautions relating to issues that they likely will encounter. Most of these issues stem from the organization's anti-democratic, authoritarian nature and resultant policies, which include attempts to curtail any and all activities and research that its leaders conclude are out of alignment with members' obligation to keep Scientology working. Ethically and morally questionable activities within the cult, which is a term that I define, include its own judicial and penal systems, its systemic harassment of perceived critics, its data storage and protection issues, and its extensive but highly questionable manipulation of members, any study of which likely will elicit censoring reactions from leadership. So too will studies about probable membership shrinkage, its sizable body of financial constituents, and its lobbying efforts and network of lawyers, supportive academics, and expert witnesses. Although I encourage newer scholars to undertake Scientology studies, I urge them to prepare for interference attempts that almost certainly will come. Canada is in the house. Janelle, go take a nap. Rest well. Rest well. Okay, y'all. So, this article is harsh. Academics in the future who research hardcore for a change. Yeah, that was pretty hardcore, wasn't it, Chica? Let's see what kind of a ride we're in for, y'all. Academics in the future who research Scientology must never forget that they will be studying an anti-democratic, authoritarian personality cult that will not tolerate critical comments, however justified, about its policies or leaders. A single unelected and unaccountable figure, initially L. Ron Hubbard, now David Miscaviage, leads the organization absent of any deliberative membership body for the discussion of ideas or the creation or revision of policies. Its surveillance, juristic, and penal systems receive little, if any, outside accountability, even though its leaders use society's institutions and laws to undermine internal dissent and external critique. A former Scientology spokesperson made some of these very points over a decade ago in a statement to reporters at the St. Petersburg Times when describing the organization's most committed full-time personnel. The Sea Org is not a democracy. The members of it agree with a man named L. Ron Hubbard. They abide by his policies, and we follow it to the T, to the letter, to the punctuation marks, said Tommy Davis. This ideological atmosphere is unlikely to produce Scientology theologians whom Bernard Doherty would like to see, who can critically reflect upon the tech and dialogue constructively on its application in scholarly fora. Doherty 2021. Scientology has not produced such people in 70 years. That is a fiery introduction. My choice of the word cult is deliberate. My choice of the word cult is deliberate, knowing that many people who study this group and others think it is pejorative. Regrettably for this group, however, it is appropriate, and recent events within American polity reveal the dangers of curtailing the truth by maintaining politeness about anti-democratic actions and organizations. By cult, I mean a group that uses undue influence to create obedience and dependency, and Scientology tactics embody those dimensions. Undue influence is fundamental to the group's operation in its recording and storage of private and often manufactured information in auditing and security check files, its deceptive claims about raising IQ or offering scientifically validated drug treatments, its coercive use of an often arbitrary justice system that denies defendants secular counsel, and its years-long programs of very expensive coursework and auditing. Over the decades, it confined and processed hundreds, if not thousands, of Scientologists in its Rehabilitation Project Force program, often while extracting cheap and dangerous labor from them. Information continues to trickle out about the whole, which seems to be the current confinement and punishment program for executives who have displeased Miscaviage. The organization requires absolute obedience to written policies and techniques, even prohibiting interpretive discussion of them as harmful verbal tech. And it further requires members to write up any possible deviances of others, and for that matter themselves, through knowledge reports. By restricting interaction with outsiders and prohibiting contact with critics or critical information of any kind, Scientology becomes a greedy institution, to use Louis Kozer's phrase, Let's look up. The problem with journals, few people ring them. Yes, this is a winner. I want to know what a greedy institution is. Y'all, hold on. What is a greedy insta? Perhaps some creators could interview this person and get his paper printing and mass media. Yeah, that's an idea, Anne. A greedy institution is defined as a social institution that demands total commitment from its members and overrides the established separation of social life into different spheres such as work, home, leisure, politics, and religion. The best examples of greedy institutions are religious sects, monastic orders, and revolutionary political parties. Hi, Keith. How are you? The paper in Denmark could use it. Keith, we just finished talking about Jenna's book, and we've gone on to talking about an interesting paper I found about studying Scientology as an anti-democratic institution. Make him SPTV famous. Okay, so we're back. Where did I go? Greedy institution. I stopped reading it. Greedy institution. By restricting interaction with outsiders and prohibiting contact with critics or critical information of any kind, Scientology becomes a greedy institution upon which its most devout members become dependent. In his opening comments, Doherty mentions that panelists at the 2018 conversation about new directions in the study of Scientology raised serious allegations of malfeasance leveled against Scientology. Interesting. This is a paper I will have to pull. And undoubtedly, many of the issues that I just listed must have been among them. By contrast, calling Scientology a religion privileges its legal status and its own public relations claim in some countries while ignoring its status in others. Functionally, it is a transnational corporation, only some parts of which are religious. For example, its practice management business programs through its World Institute of Scientology enterprises are completely secular. Members, however, can gain access to its religious revelations through a very expensive and time-consuming courses, which finally culminate in a series of secret cosmological claims whose basic content they could have learned quickly and freely on the internet. Have no liberal or pluralistic illusions about the nature of the organization that you will be studying, nor of the commitment that its most devout members hold. Conducting rigorous but respective research still may lead to discovering abusive, harmful, and possibly illegal internal policies and practices, making it difficult to see Scientology leaders as law-abiding private citizens in the area of religious liberty. Even if I am incorrect in assessing illegality in things that I discovered, At the very least, much of what I learned through research raised serious moral and ethical questions. Pardon me, y'all. Say anything critical, write anything consequential, or explain anything about these questions that seemingly challenges the authority. Say anything critical, write anything consequential, or explain anything about these questions that seemingly challenges the authoritarianism that pervades Scientology, and you may experience consequences from either the organization itself or internet trolls. I'm gonna go with that. Keep reading, Chica. The policies behind the harassment and attempted character assassinations that sociologist Roy Wallace went through a half-century ago, and that I went through beginning roughly 3 decades ago, are still in place. And to some extent, they have worked. Researchers have told me that they avoid studying that group because they do not want the grief. And yet, if researchers do not risk that grief, then important information gets smothered about an authoritarian organization operating to subvert the very principles of dissent, debate, tolerance, and personal rights, upon both which our fragile democracy and our academic freedom depend. I understand Bernard Doherty's admission that our first, though not only obligation, needs to be to the academy. But my first, though also not my only, obligation is to free and open societies that provide the political, cultural, and legal contexts in which I can conduct my research. Second Minnesota, goodbye, y'all. Perhaps as scholarly momentum grows and more defectors recount what they know, Scientology's ability to curtail or direct how academics portray the organization is diminishing. I remain skeptical, however, about Doherty's statement that things may be slowly and hesitantly changing, at least with reference to Scientology's notorious reputation for reacting with hostility toward outside scrutiny. Fundamental changes to Hubbard's policies first would have to take place, and it is difficult to imagine how such changes would occur. In any case, organizational leaders still will be attentive to the work of prominent scholars and attempt to influence, if not curtail, it if its contents are not to their liking, and the scholars used former members' accounts to build their arguments. What I am about to do probably falls under suppressive acts as Scientology defines them, acts that hinder the organization's effort to keep Scientology working, to use its own phrase. It will constitute a suppressive example of pronouncing Scientology guilty of the practice of standard Scientology, or giving anti-Scientology or anti-Scientology data to the press. My crime here is simply to quote one of the organization's official definitions of ethics that Hubbard wrote. He declared, L. Ron Hubbard did, that the purpose of ethics is to remove counter-intentions from the environment. And having accomplished that, the purpose becomes to remove other intentionedness from the environment. Said plainly, Scientology's ethics system aspires to remove from society all oppositional ideas against it, then eliminate all non-Scientology interests. From the perspective of Scientology leaders, societal opposition groups include psychiatry, so-called anti-cult organizations, hostile government policies, critical former members, and less than supportive reporters and academics. It will not matter how accurate your critical comments may be. If they indicate your counter-intentions, then you may be subject to ethics actions that will try to silence you. A major research question, therefore, for future researchers around the world will be how this authoritarian organization is positioned in various democratic and non-democratic countries. National histories, laws, and customs determine how societies react to authoritarian movements within them, and Scientology's position in American society is not replicated in many parts of the world, as emerging research by young scholars is continuing to reveal. For example, Scientology presents its European satellites as operating in compliance with the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, but significant issues remain, as its troubles over privacy in Hungary suggest. Some of these issues include its control of data about former members, debates over the storage, retrieval, and access of auditing files, and medical information obtained through its pseudo-medical drug treatment program, Narconon. Europe itself is proving to be a rich part of the world for newer scholars, but we still know little about Scientology's lobbying efforts towards EU officials, or for that matter, its influence in the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. One aspect of that influence involves Scientology's lobbying efforts in Washington, D.C., where the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe often holds government hearings, and through which Scientology has paid lobbyists committed to spreading its influence. We need to know much more, therefore, about these European and American, and for that matter, South African, lobbying efforts on national but also regional and local levels. Doherty himself is to be commended for making progress on related issues in Australia. We're not going to get through this today, y'all. Intertwined with Scientology's legal efforts at compliance are claims about members signing contracts that the organization says are legally binding forms of consent. On this subject, we need academic lawyers, since this entire set of issues involving contracts and consent is only now receiving attention and scholarship, most notably so far from Canadian lawyer Phil Lord. Recently, I reviewed a Scientology-related court case, and after doing so, I began thinking about the institutional self-serving pressures that the organization had applied to the plaintiff, who had to sign a document as a part of her routing out procedure from the Sea Org. Initially, I thought that her act of signing the document was a more or less voluntary, but upon analysis and reflection, I realized that she had done so in a highly pressured and manipulated setting. Scientology had its legal team at the signing taping her. She, however, did not have external counsel to review the document. The procedure was coercive and disempowering, a poor example of what a juristic system should be. I am among those scholars who have serious concerns about what Doherty calls Scientology's internal modes of communal discipline, and the organization's use of ethically and legally questionable contracts are part of my concern. The entire alternative and judicial penal system in Scientology needs much more analysis, since it runs parallel to comparable systems in secular society and sometimes even overlaps and conflicts with them. Rights protections inside Scientology's legal system are fundamentally different from secular protections, and these differences have profound consequences for persons who get processed under these different rules. Again, basic principles of democracy are at stake. Many indications point to the numeric decline of Scientologists, apparently appearing as declining membership, staff shortages at local orgs, accounts from defectors. Indeed, we know from Rodney Stark's work that most religions die within a few generations. Surely Scientology's numbers have declined since the late 70s and 80s, even if more Scientology buildings have appeared globally. Part of that numbers decline may reflect the aging of longtime members whose fate in old age needs serious research. There, it's in print, y'all. Part of that numbers decline may reflect the aging of longtime members whose fate in old age needs serious research. A good portion, and we need to know exactly what portion, I don't know that religious arbitration is a crime. I wouldn't quite go that far, but I would say that saying people have no recourse to the secular court is wrong. I'm biased. I was trained as a mediator, but also as a religious conciliator. I would agree religious arbitration, though. What I'm talking about is mediation from a faith-based perspective, not arbitration. A good portion, and we need to know exactly what portion, of the finances for these buildings probably comes from its circle of wealthy international donors who may benefit from tax benefits in their respective countries. No systematic study exists, as far as I know, about who these people are, although many of them are quite public about their donations, why they are such generous supporters, and what rewarding subculture exists for them inside of the organization itself. A few Hollywood defectors have provided some information about when and why they made large financial donations, but our information is fragmented and disconnected. Perhaps no place reflects the political and social impact of these donors more dramatically than Clearwater, Florida, which has witnessed a noteworthy program of Scientology-related construction and land development in recent years. Whether this growth continues into the future or contracts from diminished interest by the wealthy amidst opposition from some local residents is an issue very worthy of young scholars' attention. In any case, members of any declining organization do not like academics documenting its diminishment, and Scientologists will be no different. I agree with you, Chica. I agree with you completely. Far less influential, but still of considerable research potential, is Scientology's cultivation of academics. Prevaricating organizations have histories of deceitful public relations programs targeting researchers, and a few academics are old enough to remember the intense debates around charges of academic compromise that were prevalent in the late 70s and early 80s. Scientology has continued the practice of providing academics with expense-free tours of some of its facilities, and I know one prominent academic who took such a tour and became an expert witness for the organization. Much work has focused on the anti-cult movement, but little sociology of knowledge work has examined the existing network of pro-cult conferences, editorial board appointments on journals, research access based upon expectations of reciprocity, active or passive funding arrangements, and the like that exist in some instances. Academic publications, therefore, on this group and others should implement policies that apply to medical and psychology journals, which require authors to specify funding sources or personal interest conflicts that might have influenced the research. A small number of academics, including me, have worked in Scientology-related court cases, but no research has examined the sometimes lucrative but stressful business of expert witnessing, nor of the lawyers who repeatedly represent Scientology's interests. Chica, good night. We'll see you tomorrow when you finish. Yes, I agree, Anne. I agree. Secular law. And secular law is over religious law, unless that you believe it's not, in which case it still is, but you're not going to avail yourself of the civic remedies. So this is really an interesting paper, guys. Do you want me to keep going even though we're at 2 hours? We have one more page. Shall we finish it, y'all? What do you think? What do you think, y'all? Shall we finish? See, I'm looking up here at y'all now. But where I need to look here is over here for it come up on the... Okay, we'll finish it. Academic research itself faces a formidable barrier around research ethics compliance. If we go through Scientology leaders to gain research access to members, then we likely will have difficulties offering the anonymity and confidentiality that we must guarantee research subjects. These offers are essential when studying a group like Scientology that has clearly established penalties to impose upon members who say anything negative, anything N theta about it. Third Minnesota goodbye, y'all. So you guys got to pay attention. That's the third Minnesota goodbye. So we got to pay attention to who shows up so we know who wins. Worth mentioning here is that several of the older scholars who published on Scientology had little, if any, formal affiliations with colleges or universities, so they conducted their research outside of institutionally mandated ethical boundaries. Cricket! Hugs! We'll see you later. Sleep well. One big but expected ethical issue that is going to explode around Scientology involves child abuse, including child sexual abuse. See reference to Carol Cusack's comments in Doherty 2021. Okay, I'm going to have to go research Doherty 2021. We'll get that another day. An organization that has allowed 12-year-old children to enter the Sea Org raises a series of concerns involving education, labor, and the limits of caretakers' legal, moral, and ethical obligations to their wards. Knowing that some of these Sea Org children wind up auditing adults about their real or imagined sexual indiscretions is wrong for a multitude of reasons. Likewise, the pressured obligation on members to attempt to handle allegations of child abuse as an internal matter raises serious legal and moral issues. Cricket, email me and I will send you the site. The fact that instances of child sexual abuse have occurred inside Scientology is not surprising. No institution is immune from them. Some institutions, however, handle them better than others, but Scientology seems not to be one of them. Research opportunities will emerge around this issue, but the information that researchers will uncover will be most unpleasant, as I know just from what I have stumbled upon, usually while researching other subjects. Scientology research is important, not only in and of itself, but also because of how it situates in larger historical issues and global trends. It emerged in an era of American anti-communism, promising techniques for self-improvement. It evolved cosmic theologies that allowed it to make religious claims and position itself within human rights debates involving religious freedom. The entire enterprise, however, of Dianetics and Scientology is a narcissistic creation of one man, and it now continues under the leadership of highly controlling and by many accounts violent individual. I encourage newer scholars to study Scientology, although I, like Doherty, have mixed feelings about having done so myself. My research and comments on the group began when few other critical academic voices existed in the English-speaking world, but now those voices are many. Their sheer numbers now might provide them with degrees of protection that I did not have, and I wish them Godspeed. Scientology-related research issues are numerous, and relevant scholarship around the globe continues to expand. Be thoughtful, however, about undertaking or normalizing the group, regardless of how personable and sincere many of its members appear to be. At core, Scientology remains a declining authoritarian cult whose leaders either see you as a potential asset or an inconvenient threat. Doherty is also very wise to point out that whatever stand you take on Scientology issues, you will be trolled. All one can do is be fair and careful. Also be prepared. There it is, guys. What do you think? We knocked out the book and a paper tonight. So that was lovely. You liked that one? Yeah, I thought it might be a barn burner when I read it. Pretty excellent. I need to look into this guy. Pretty excellent. So on that note, I think let me check one thing, you guys. I think with that, guys, I am going to say interesting, and I will research him. I will research him and see if he's got anything more to say. And also I will look at the papers that he cites and see what those have to say. Because I think he certainly could have gone on for another 5 pages and I would have been cool with it. So that was great. Stephen A. Kent. Stephen A. Kent. Yeah, he's a he's in the Department of Sociology at the University of Alberta. It's not working. Okay. Thank you, Anne. Thank you. You got his name? I will research and see what other things I can find that he has to say, and if they have any interest for us. Ooh. Yeah, he sounds great. Okay, guys, I'm getting distracted. Dinner is ready. I need to get going. Y'all are great. Hugs and hugs to everybody, and I will see you next time. I'm hilarious, guys. Leaving the studio, that doesn't end the stream. Leaving the studio doesn't end the stream. I need to hit end stream rather than leave studio. Good night, y'all. See you later.